Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Press Play Lifestyle Inspired podcast, where we do interviews with interesting and inspiring people like our new friend Darren here to help our listeners, that's you, find the resources, tools, support that you need to be your best inspired selves. How you doing today, Darren?
Good. How are you doing, Jackie?
I'm fantastic. I was just telling you, it's like getting to the end of my day and the end of my week, even though who knows what day it is anymore, right?
I think it's Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's Thursday. Let's go with that. Let's go with that one. So I was checking out your website. I got some great. I was given that great opportunity, and I like you have a fun, fresh sound. So I wonder if you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell the listeners about you. And I guess I gave a sneak peek with saying that it's something to do with music.
Yeah. So, I am a musician. I've been playing and writing songs. I'm a guitar player mostly. I'm playing and writing songs and in bands for my whole life since as long as I can remember. I had a kind of hit a brick wall though. I had not literally, but close. I had a car accident. So that kind of I was really on a, how can I explain it? Very high activity. I was doing a lot, working full time. I had my own business. I was, just playing in, I think it was about 5 different bands at the time.
Oh my!
And so I had a lot going on, probably too much. When you have so much going on, you can't see the big picture. You're just in it going, right? And and so I was driving home one night and somebody ran a red light and into me, and that just stopped everything, like just stopped dead for a couple of years. And when I was first doing this kind of thing, I was kind of reluctant to even talk about it because I didn't want it to be all about that, but then I realized, well, it's kind of part of the story and part of how I got to my new album and how that all came to be. And so, yeah, that's why I thought, it's part of the human experience. You feel like everywhere you look, you just turn your head and somebody has it worse. So I didn't want to be complaining about this, but yeah, it was life altering anyway. The aftermath, how can I put it eloquently? It sucked.
That was actually pretty eloquent, if you ask me.
Yeah, because the accident itself was bad enough, but afterwards, from losing my job to just the whole process, even though you go, well, it wasn't my fault, right? Somebody else ran into me. I was doing everything right, but that's in our real world. But in the world of litigation and insurance and all that aftermath, it doesn't quite work that way. And so, the anxiety and the stress and the paranoia and the lack of sleep and the medications and all the things that go on for several years while you're trying to get yourself back together, it was climbing up a mountain for sure. Mm-hmm. So, and again, not to complain about it, but the good news is it sent me, after going just go, it sent me in a different kind of path where I'm back to being pretty, doing a lot, but not a little more focused, I guess. So, and now nobody's doing anything because we're stuck at home. So,
so now you're like another chance to reset.
It actually feels like it. I had a friend who's a singer in one of my bands, actually, and she asked me, she's like, because she was having this problem, like, I can't watch anything new. I can't read anything new. I can't focus on anything at all that's new to be productive. And I said, yeah, it's the same thing that I went through. And fortunately, I had an occupational therapist that helped with those things. So if I'd start to remember the things that I learned, because for a while, same thing, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't, because you're thinking, oh, I've got nothing to do. I should be really productive. I should be painting the house. I should be, writing songs and doing all this stuff. And then as a result, I wasn't doing anything, like getting nothing done. So now things are getting better. It's starting to settle in again. So.
Yeah, I think that's comment. I don't think people expected that, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to be home. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to, I'm going to paint the garage. I'm going to put, put a roof on the back of the whatever. And, but even if the whole world is a bit stressed, right? I think we all So
it's
even if
paused.
you're right, yeah, if everyone's feeling this sense of stress, then you know you're just tired. You're more tired, right? You're like this low
Yeah.
drip of stress
Yeah.
all day long, right?
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good way to put it. Yeah.
but I think things maybe are starting to normalize a bit, and hopefully it's a little faster than the process you had to go through.
Oh yeah.
But I'd like to invite you to consider that it is part of your story, and it's not complaining if it is,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so, if you're still living in that place,
Yeah.
maybe, but that you could get through it, right? That you could get
Yeah.
through it, and you're here now to tell us is
Yeah.
a story of triumph, not a sad
Sure.
one.
Yeah. And the album that when I started working on it, it was, I mean, this was probably a full year after, that things were, I guess, in the past, let's say.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, right now, here's a good example. I see a lot of YouTubers and, people who they do stuff on the music industry, right? And there are a lot of really good ones, a lot of insightful uh, people. But then there are things like the ones that say, "Oh, now is the time to write songs about what we're all going through and stuff." And I always think they've never written a song in their life, because as a writer, that's not usually the way it works. I mean, you can force it, but most of the time that inspiration comes much later, right? And I find
Like
I'm
process
writing,
it or something, right? You have to process it a little bit to.
yeah, yeah, because you're still going through it. You don't, it's, yeah, I mean, I've had that with like really miserable relationships and things that, we would write songs about that 8, 10 years later, where it comes in and you go, oh, I know what that's about. Um, and that's not to say that you couldn't, like there are method writers who could sit down and go, I'm going to write a song about this, and
Yeah,
that's okay. But
yeah,
I'm more of an inspiration guy, I guess. I can do both, but I prefer inspiration.
yeah. I think that makes sense. I think everybody's creativity has a different seed, right? And yours, you like to germinate a little bit before you go forward.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice. So I think something there's like so many interesting things about you, but you've casually mentioned the latest release, but do you want to tell us a little bit like what's the name, where can
Oh,
people
okay.
find it, what's
Wait,
about?
there, there it
There you
is.
go. Yeah, it's
Just
awesome.
happened to be sitting here. That
Yeah,
is,
good plug.
yeah, it's called Lifting the Curse, Darren Michael Boyd. And it really, if you go to darrenboyd.com, you can find everything of
Everything.
where I am, yeah, on YouTube and all that stuff. And it's a full length, it's a 9-song album, and it's instrumental. And that is kind of scary in a way. And this is my first solo album. And I was doing it. The real reason I did this was because all of the other bands that I was playing in, even the ones that still existed after all the accident and everything, a lot of the things I was coming up with musically just didn't fit. They didn't belong in one place or another. And so I was kind of creating these odd pieces. And I went, you know what, I'm just going to make a music video. So I've never made one in my life. Not myself, I've been in them, but I've never made one. So I made a really goofy music video, put it out there, and people seemed to really like it. Said, okay, I'm gonna do another one. So I did another, and yeah, next thing you know, made a whole album. And I think the thing I was most proud of is that it actually got finished. And really, you could be, the perfectionist musician or artist and mess around with this yeah, I could still be working on it. But there is a point of saying, no, I'm going to set a deadline and finish it, and that's
Yeah.
the exciting part. So,
Yeah,
and I'm
I think
working on
that's
the next one. So,
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Already
yeah,
working on the next one. You
yeah.
gotta love
And,
it.
and the fact that it was so well received, like the reviews are really good. And, I
You
didn't
seem
expect that.
surprised. Yeah, you
No,
seem surprised that people like your music.
well, it's not my music, it's the fact that it's the first time I've done something like this. And
Oh,
it's all me, as far as, I mean, not to say I had zero help, but I mean, mostly it was produced, written, recorded, everything by me. And so you put it out, and if everybody hates it, well, it's
That
that's
could
my
be a big
fault.
risk, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh.
But that's risk or not. I mean, what's really the worst? And this is something artists should know, because we do hide behind perfectionism, and I think it's more fear than anything, because we go, oh, it's not perfect, and what if, and the fact is, the haters, the people who don't like you, don't write for them, because you're never going to convince them to like you. Like, forget about them. Write for yourself first of all, and then the people who actually do. Because really, what's the biggest risk? Somebody doesn't like you, they say a nasty thing about you. Like, who cares? Yeah. Or if everybody makes fun of you, like that. Who was that girl who did that Friday song? Do you remember that? And Rebecca Black, I think was her name. I'm going to get sued now for saying no, but I mean, it was just,
We'll
she
beep
put
it
out
out.
this, yeah. Well, it's not a bad thing. It's just that she put out this video and this song, and it went viral, but not because it was so great. And it really wasn't that bad. It was just that everybody was making fun of her. And yeah, and it's kind of, people can be pretty nasty. And
Yeah.
even if they don't mean to be, even if they're just having fun with it, it's still,
Well, somebody created that though, right? Like, unless you
yeah.
created it with the intent that you were knowing you're spoofing yourself or
Yeah,
something,
it's comedy or something.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's a
Yeah.
little bit harder to swallow.
Oh, I always say I'm so glad there wasn't like YouTube and stuff when I was a kid, because I would have been famous, but not for not for
Not for
anything
good
good.
things.
No.
Yeah, I was glad there wasn't cell phone recording devices when I was a kid. I can just imagine what would be on the internet. It's like, oh, thank
Oh
heavens. I'm
yeah.
like, I like that I'm older. That means I didn't, that they didn't have phones back then to
Yeah.
record stuff. That
Yeah.
would be not
Yeah.
good.
That would be terrible. But it's true. You ever think though, as musicians and artists, we're always told you should have a thick skin, right? But on the other hand, we're expected to put out the most personal stuff and put it out into the world. And so it's kind of counterintuitive. It's like a
Yeah.
totally different thing. And then when somebody says, I don't care if people say something negative. I've been pretty lucky. I really have. I haven't had a lot. Maybe I'm just not well known enough, but I haven't had real nasty haters or anything.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder why. I've never even given somebody a thumbs down on YouTube. I just don't, like, I would just
Just don't do it. Yeah.
don't watch it. I don't,
Yeah.
but
I think
yeah.
that's fair though. If you like, one of the things that I've really talked a lot about with the different musicians that have been so gracious to join me on my show is um, they're taking music out of schools, they're taking, art out of schools, all these expressions of our creativity and in some cases I think even some of the way that we express our soul. But when all of this stuff started to happen, the first place people turned was music, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The first place we went to was those old songs that gave us comfort from our
Of
childhood.
course. Yeah.
So I think
And
if we
that
think about that,
value, I mean,
yeah,
when you think about the value of a song that, I'm just talking about one song, like pick a
one.
song that, yeah, and you go, man, I've
Brian
listened to
Adams, Summer
that.
of '69, right? That's
Right.
for me. It's always like I think back and how fun it was and freeing it
Yeah.
was and to be a
Yeah.
teenager, right? That kind of
You,
stuff.
you know what's so funny about that is, I mean, Brian Adams, I mean, there's a lesson in songwriting as it is, right? And I remember only a few years ago grabbing like a compilation of his, like a greatest hits thing or something.
Yeah,
And I've been playing Summer '69 in cover bands for
forever.
years,
Yeah.
right? And so you just kind of lose your, whatever, I'm going to fast forward through that song, right? I put it on, it was the first song on the disc, and I'm driving, and the first chords came on, and it just hit me. I'm like, whoa. And I had to listen to the whole thing. I went, the production of it, when I actually really listened to it again, I went, wow, it's not stale, it's not old, it's still great. And the point being, you can listen to a song like that for 20 years and absolutely love it. And so what does it cost? Like $1 or something for a song?
Yeah.
And it's like, but
But
yet,
it's priceless, right? It brings
yeah,
back a piece of a time in your life where maybe things were beautiful or better
or sad or
or
whatever. I mean,
sad. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, music has that ability to communicate any nuance of human emotion, in two chords or something, really, in two
Yeah.
notes in a chord, an interval, you know, it's amazing the expression and the communication that we have in music. And so to hear that being stripped out of education, I think it's yeah, it's a mistake for sure.
Yeah. So maybe that's an opportunity though. If you like, there's so many bad things that have happened in the terms of people being in quarantine. But what if we turned that around and said, well, what lessons did we learn? And I think one of them is about connection, that we actually do need to be around each other. And then the other is about how important like music is to us. How many artists have played who normally would be out on stage and making money. The only way that they make money is doing live shows, and they're showing up on Facebook Live and just
Yeah.
jamming with their people, you know?
Oh yeah. I
That's
mean,
like,
Brian May has been doing that on Instagram. I've been watching it. And it's like, this is Brian May showing you how to play all his classic solos, you know, because he's
yeah.
sitting there with the guitar going, I miss playing, you know. And it's healing. It was bringing so much joy and inspiration to people. Just those few minutes of him playing, you know, that's
Exactly. And it's
yeah.
been some big names too, right? It's not, and some new artists. I've been really lucky. I've met some amazing, I like my interest in music has re-peaked to be like interested in
Yeah.
some of these new fun fusions of things. Like there's a gentleman, Atlas Cage is his name. Owns a couple of different labels, and he's got this just funky mixed up sound that's sort of like a Barry White voice with a heavy metal sort of band flair. And to be able to just like hear all of these new creative ways that people are putting together music is, to me, it's fun and hopeful instead of maybe sad.
Yeah, and it's true. And really, for music to mean something, it doesn't even, like, we often think of lyrics, right? And I do write lyrics too. So this album and this direction of
Unique,
instrumental, it's just a different branch of what I do. But I find you can listen to a song with no lyrics or complete nonsense lyrics, and it can make you want to dance or make you, you know, sing along or hum along or whatever. It can be great in the gym, whatever it is. Music still has that power, and
I
it's
think that's true. This is going to seem super silly if you're not a parent or don't know young kids, but there's this song by like Banana Namu. It's like a little kids thing. And it's these little penguins that sing, I've got a ponytail. I've got a ponytail. My kids and I, every time it comes on, the entire house erupts into dance and like just sassiness, right? Everyone's like shaking their heads and dancing around like crazy. And it's a bunch of penguins, right? It's like, and there's obviously artists behind that, but the fact that something so simple can erupt a rather grumpy household into just joy, right? This like expression of joy is amazing. So yeah, I think that's, I've only, the one song I listened to before this was instrumental. So I haven't actually heard some of your vocal side yet, but I will be intrigued. But in addition to that, because, you know, you decided to slow down, I'm making air quotes for people who can't see this. There's some musical theater stuff that had kind of started erupting for you as well, right?
It was actually just prior to me really cracking down to record this. So it was in the spring where I was doing the Queen "We Will Rock You," and I was playing the guitar parts, right? So, and yeah, I mean, what an experience! It was great on a few different levels. For one thing, it was the first time I've done musical theater. There was about 60 people involved total. And so I've never done something with that many people. And it was really nice because, you know, if you're in a small band, you know, 4 or 5 people, it doesn't take much to turn things toxic and I'm not necessarily mean in big
Small
church.
interpersonal, right? Yeah.
Sure. And not necessarily the whole band, but I mean, even just one rehearsal, somebody could be grumpy or in bad mood or whatever. And now, on the other hand, it can also be really good, like a little family too. But when you have 60 odd people, there's no time or room or anything for that kind of stuff. So it's very positive. It was nothing but a positive experience for me. It was very different playing the music in that context too, where it was a play basically. So, you weren't playing like just full songs like a band, here's your set and that. It was kind of like, well, here's part of a song and here's a song in a different key. Like, yeah. So, but it was fantastic. And the music of Queen is, it can be pretty intricate, and yeah, and trying to match the tones as well as I could. And yeah, it's in the fingers. If I'm not Brian May, so I'm not going to sound like Brian May, but I'm going to do my best. And yeah, it was great.
So
And
do you think that that's the great question. Do you think that a guitar is like a guitar, everyone's fingers are as unique as everyone's voice?
actually, I do, and I think that more now than maybe I hadn't really considered it when I was younger, but now I've thought a lot about that. And I mean, the proof is really there when you think of, now you may or may not know some of the names that I could think of, but even some of the bigger names like Eddie Van Halen,
I would think like Slash
or Slash
yeah.
or Brian May or, oh geez, I don't know.
Keith Urban's quite the accomplished guitarist as well, right?
Keith Urban, brilliant. I mean, these guys are all, but you can take all of those guys who are all influenced by a lot of the same people, and yet they, like, if I took Eddie Van Halen's guitar, plugged into his rig, and played his songs as close as I could, I'm still not going to sound like Eddie. But Eddie can take an acoustic guitar and still sound like Eddie. You know what I mean? That's very much a unique voice. And I mean, people have still been trying to sound like Randy Rhoads, years after his death, and they're not they're not doing it. Like, they can't, some people come close. And but when I was growing up and learning to play guitar, I had a different perspective anyway. So I guess I had some insight. I just wasn't really aware. But I did know that I didn't want to try to learn all of the stuff from my heroes. I didn't want to learn all the licks and all that, because I wanted to write songs. That was my number one thing. And I thought, if I try to be like that person, then I'm going to be trying to write songs like that person. I'm going to sound like them. There's already one of those guys. And
That's true. I did an interview a couple weeks back with it's like, I want to say Bradley Novotny, and he's specifically just guitar, not just, but he's a guitar. That's his gig. He doesn't do any instrumental or any vocals. Also a local teacher. Another guitarist is Corey M. Coons, who's,
I know Corey really well. Yeah,
you know Corey well? Yeah,
we live about a half an hour away from each other, so
crazy.
We get coffee once in a while and hang out.
Yeah. So he was talking to about very specific guitarists, and I find it. I don't play guitar. I play accordion, so I'm super cool. But my husband plays. He plays electric, and he's we're learning, even though we're older. We're still learning stuff.
You always learn. Right?
You're always learning, but I think it's just amazing that it's any instrument, right? Your fingers are your fingers. Like, there's amazing pianists, and you can't. No one sounds like Bach. Bach sounds like Bach, right?
Well, and even some of the bands that we loved, when they changed members, and even if you go, oh, it's just a drummer. I'm doing air quotes again too. Nobody can see me. But you might say, oh, it's just the drummer. But if you've ever read Slash's autobiography, he talks about how difficult it was to replace Steven Adler after Appetite for Destruction, because of the presence that he had on those songs. And and it's the same thing with guitar players and bass players, and
cool.
And
my brother was a bass player too, my stepbrother, and even that, like, different types of guitarists, right? They're all unique, right? Like the kind of guitar, like acoustic versus electric versus
true.
It's cool. That's super neat. Well, one last quick question, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course.
It was interestingly not related to music, but I just thought it was a cool fun fact about you. You have a day job that's a bit unique. Do you want to share with us what you do during the day.
Which one? I have two, so
Oh,
that are both
okay. Yeah,
unique.
share both. What do you got going
Okay.
on?
All right. So my business that I have is called Reptile Rainforest. And so I do shows for schools and birthday parties and summer camps and that kind of thing, where I
Cool.
educate people, not just kids, but usually kids, about reptiles and the creepy crawlies. And of course, I'm a commercial breeder as well, which is part of it. It is, man, I'm getting the emails. It's not looking good for my summer season yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
already getting the sort of cancellations into August. And so, yeah, this started around March break. So it's been, yeah,
You're a big part of your busy season, right?
yeah, that's all my busy season. So yeah, I'm like, I better have a hit single or something to,
Yeah. A
so
third job. You're gonna get another job.
yeah. So my other job is that I'm a librarian by, well, I want to say by day, but most of my shifts are actually in the evening during the week. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It has that changed? I mean, I think of when I was now I'm really starting to feel old, but when I was a kid, we were always in the library because you couldn't like look anything up. You had to go card catalog, Dewey
Yeah.
Decimal
Oh
System,
wow. Yeah. Sure.
all hardcore the old way.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a bit different in terms of how you can acquire the books and find them in there. But are people still actively utilizing the resources
Oh,
in the library?
this brings up, this should be a good challenge for everybody who's listening or watching, and you too, is
Yeah,
provided the libraries are back up and running safely
yeah,
and everything. But definitely check it out. Go back in. Is your I don't know if, I'm sure it's the same where you are, but you're paying taxes for it, so you're paying
yeah,
for it. So
yeah.
you go in and use it for free. In our case, we have a whole whack of computers. We have all kinds of different materials that you can take out, like walking poles and fishing rods and all kinds of stuff like that. But of
Oh,
course, we
wow.
do have a lot of books, a lot of DVDs, and digital resources. And yeah, and we also, again, this might be different depending on where you are, but here we have interlibrary loans. So if somebody wants something we don't have, we can order it and get it in on a loan from another librarian.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Yeah, I haven't,
Yes.
it's been a minute. So we have gone in. One of the things that I love that our local libraries have done is that, especially in the summer, if it's now we're trying to find stuff for your kids to do,
Yeah.
they do some amazing like little reading time, just reading.
Oh, yeah, we have
Your kiddos.
programs. We have
Yeah.
programs too, and that's in fact when I was just telling you earlier that I was trying to upload a video for the library. It was one of I was doing a reptile video. Since I'm not doing reptile shows and the library is not open, we're just
Yeah.
doing curbside stuff right now. So every week on Thursday, I send in a little, 5-minute video of me with a creature talking about it.
That's
And yeah,
amazing.
so you can find that on Reptile Rainforest Facebook, and or
Yeah.
so,
So
yeah.
yeah, if you're interested, I have a lot of your music resources in terms of what they are. But if you want to share your reptile resources as well through email, I'll make sure they're in the show notes, so
Oh,
our
awesome.
our audience can kind of look at all of the different gifts that you're bringing for all of us.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for showing up and all the ways that you are showing up for us. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, would you like to any parting words for all of our audience in terms of where they can find a little bit more about you and find resources if they're interested?
Certainly. Well, reptile. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you want to edit that part out.
No, you're
No, no.
good.
Okay. So yeah, I was thinking of Reptile Rainforest, but you can look
Yeah,
that
that's
up
good.
too.
Reptile
Yeah,
Rainforest is the
Reptile
name of your array
Rainforest.
of, yeah,
.com. You can find me there or on
cool.
Facebook, Instagram. DarrenBoyd.com is my website. If you are so inclined to like search for me on any platform, you can.
Yeah.
Um, except for Twitter, you can look for me there. And I laugh about this because people are like tweeting, and I'm like, oh, I still have a Twitter. I haven't done anything in years with that. So
Yeah, yeah.
sorry if I'm ignoring you there. I just haven't been on there. I'm not sure if I
Yeah,
know the
fair enough.
password, but yeah,
But it's out there, I'm
Instagram.
sure. So
Yes.
lots of Facebook fan pages, and you definitely, I would encourage anyone who's interested, dareboy.com. You have a lot of little teasers out there, some music videos, some things, so people can get a
Yeah.
little bit of a idea if you're kind of their music is their cup of tea, and definitely check it out. I think it'd be great. So thank you so much, Darren, for spending
You're
time with
welcome.
us today. And anytime you come out with something new, you got to let us know so we can tell our audience about it, okay?
Absolutely. And before we go, just
Yeah.
one last thing. I did release a new video this week for the title track, Lifting the Curse. So you can always check that up on YouTube as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll go and check it out for sure. And we'll make sure we put links to that in the show notes as well. Thanks so
Wonderful.
much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.